right, let's go ahead and get started. First off, thank you all for taking the time to be here and to sit on this call with all of us. We wanted to, as we're going through and creating these sorts of VPSA chats and these communication methods and the things we want to talk about, we really thought it would be important, earlier on to have a discussion with current student officers so that they can share their experience with you in regards to what they did to prepare themselves to run for district office. So that way you have an idea of how to go about it yourself. So my name is Bong. I'm your host and your VPSA, and very, very excited to be here. And we have our wonderful host, our panelists as well. So let's go ahead and start with introductions. Rachel, you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Yeah, hello, I'm Rachel Baca. I am the Southwest District Vice President for Programs. I'm a brother at the Gamma Iota chapter at the University of New Mexico. I play the oboe, study music ed. I don't know what I need in my intro.
Whatever you feel is cool about you.
What's cool about me is I don't have an appendix. I don't know if that's cool, but I don't have it.
Love it. Awesome. Jenna.
Hi, guys. I'm Jenna Jansa. I'm the North Central District Vice President for Programs. I'm a brother at the Beta Rho chapter at the University of Toledo. I'm an exercise science major. And something cool about me, I scribe in the ER at Toledo, so I thought that you didn't have an appendix is really cool.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, Jordan.
Oh gosh. Okay. So hello, my name is Jordan Barnes. I am from the Northeast District. I serve as the historian/alumni liaison. I am a brother at the Iota Zad chapter at Norfolk State University. I am a history education major. I play clarinet and trumpet. Interesting thing about me, wow, I have a candy addiction.
Same. Very much. I always have something in my backpack for work, so awesome. All right, Evan.
Hello, my name is Evan Choi. I am the Northeast District Vice President. I come from the Kappa Gamma chapter at Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. I am a double major in computer science and accounting, and I play saxophone in the marching band here at Lehigh. But fun fact about me, I also am a church musician. I play organ and handbells, and my high school handbell ensemble actually played for the wedding for the writer of New Girl, and I got to meet the entire cast, which is really cool.
Jealous. That's awesome. All right, Will.
I'm Will Johnston. I'm the Northeast District Member at Large. I'm from the Theta Sigma chapter at Fairmont State University. I play trumpet. I'm a chemistry major and music minor. And an interesting fact about me is I have a dog that's really fat, and he's my best friend.
Awesome, Atia.
I have a name, you know.
So my name is Atia Rinsakun Warings. I'm currently the Southeast District, the Southeast District Secretary Treasurer. I'm a brother from the Theta Theta chapter, University of Alabama at Birmingham. I am currently a senior studying public health. And a fun fact, since we're in the medical world, I am a surgeon's assistant for some oral surgeons in Birmingham.
Nice. Very cool. Awesome. Well, before we get into our questions for the evening, I would love to get to know all of you as well, but just to make sure that we get done on time, all of our attendees, if you could type a little bit about yourself, your chapter, and again, an interesting fact in the chat. That way we know who everybody is. And then as you're typing and as you're going through this call, if you have questions and you don't want to speak up and interrupt, feel free to type your questions here as well. I do have the list of your questions that you have sent in when you registered. So we'll be putting those throughout the call. And, while you're just listening, if you don't mind just muting yourself so that way, we don't hear whatever's happening behind you. So awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start out with a simple question. What is it like serving as a district officer? Anybody can go.
So I can go first. So it's a lot of fun. It really keeps you on your toes. You're actually either doing something for your chapter or something for the district. I like it because it keeps myself busy. I like to be busy. I hate staying still. So I enjoy it. It gives me something else to do and another way to serve the fraternity in a way.
Awesome. Love it. Anything else?
Okay. I just think it's an opportunity to work with a lot of people and meet a lot of people from across the district, but then also across the nation when you're working with your counterparts from other districts. So it's just a really cool opportunity to serve the district, but also to meet other people and work with other brothers from different backgrounds along the way.
Awesome. Thank you. What else? What is it like serving as district officer?
Okay, I'll go. I think, well, not think. It's being on the council. It allows you to have a sense of creativity. It gives you a chance to bring something new to, the brotherhood and specifically your district. I know for me in my position, I have a chance to actually develop something new each time. Not saying that I don't have a foundation, but it allows me to, contribute in my way.
Awesome. I love it. Anything else from any other district officers? If not, let's go ahead and go on. So not everyone's going to answer everything. If someone's already said something, just make sure we do get out on time here. So the next question for you all is, how is it like working with a group of people that you aren't physically near all the time, like your chapter? Like these are people usually from different chapters, from different universities. How is it like working with people who aren't near you all the time?
It's definitely a new experience. It's strange, and it starts as a working relationship until you realize like you've spent so much time and so much effort communicating with these people over the course of months that you really do develop that close bond that you didn't expect to unless you were in person, if that makes sense. It was definitely different for me.
Very cool, very cool. And we have another panelist who jumped on as well. Ashley, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, sorry, I just got out of class, so I'm a little late, but I'm Ashley. I'm the Western District Vice President.
Very cool. And we've been asking all of our panelists something interesting about themselves.
Gosh, I'm currently studying digital culture and how technology has an impact on society, which is kind of a pretty broad field, but it's kind of like the focus of my thesis this year. So
Awesome. And you're a Lilo and Stitch fan, correct?
yes, that's my favorite Disney movie.
Awesome, love it. So the question again right now that we're discussing is how is it like working with a group of people that you aren't physically close by all the time? How is it like?
I'd say it definitely at first was more stressful in the sense that, like, for me, it taught me more like checking my emails, sending emails, responding to texts, responding to group messages. And, of course, if you see people in person, you just can meet up with them and talk with them about these things. So it really like makes me be on top of things in a much different way because most of our communication is done virtually. But I would like to say that, like what Jenna said, even though we are far apart, like we are still very close in a very unique way, which is a really special experience.
Awesome. And the other cool thing too is, just basically like we're doing right now, we're bringing in people from all over the country. Technology, it's something that we're leveraging, and we're adapting into the way that we operate as a fraternity, as district councils, as chapters as well. So that's something that I think it's been pretty awesome, especially with headquarters willing to create these Zoom accounts for us. So, anyone have anything else they want to add to the question? Seeing none. All right, let's go ahead to the next one here. So if you could share what made you want to run for district office?
So for me, I had previously served as my chapter's president, and I had some very tough times where I didn't know what to do. I was very lost. I didn't know where to find this, and I had questions about this. And the council while I was president was extremely helpful in getting me those resources. And I saw being on district council being an opportunity to give back to the people who gave me so much. As a way of paying forward for me. The brotherhood got me through some very tough times and stressful times throughout my junior year in college, as a lot of people can attest is a tough one. And so, having the opportunity to really not only get to know so many people across the district, but having the opportunity to make an impact on not only how they lead, but empowering them to lead the best that they can, their chapters. So it was definitely a huge driver.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. What else? Anybody else want to add to that?
So similarly what Evan said, my situation was a little bit different. So last year, my chapter hosted our convention site, which was SED, and I was the chapter liaison with the district council. So I personally got to see how close the district council worked, and I really wanted to have that atmosphere to I really want to give back and work hard with the people who really, really care about this organization. And it's just like Evan said, it's just I want to give back to something that I love so much.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else?
For me, it was people telling me and nudging me towards it. Like those little comments of maybe hey, have you considered district office? Have you looked at that? And definitely one of the biggest moments was meeting the district officers and getting to know them and realizing oh, they're people just like me and I could do that job.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, something that's really cool is that, our student leaders work so closely with our chapters and, are there with you all throughout, the school year. Sometimes I hear lots of stories of individuals who have served on district office saying, no, this person reached out to me and asked about this. And it's just, it's not maybe the whole motivator, but it's that spark that gets someone thinking about it. That sometimes that's all that they needed is that spark. And then they go out and they find their own resources. So awesome. Well, anybody else want to add to that question?
I'll say, oh, sorry.
No, you go.
Okay. I was kind of looking for a way to challenge myself. I feel like I was pretty involved in my chapter, and I understood things on a chapter operation, and I kind of wanted to expand my skills to something a little bit bigger. And kind of like everyone else was saying, just being a part of something so big, I wanted to get the full experience and connect to people outside of my own district, outside of my own chapter. So in addition to what everyone else said, I think it's a really good way to just kind of test your skills and see what you can do in a leadership position this big too.
Awesome. Jordan?
Sure. So mine was kind of piggybacking off of what Jenna said, is that I actually had some people who actually tried to push me to the position, specifically more people in my chapter. My chapter wasn't one to actually step out of that comfort zone. We kind of made our way to districts, but it wasn't this is a thing. So it was I want to say this was part of our growth in the fraternity. So when they told me, they was like, hey, you should really do this. I was like, well, I'm a little nervous, but sure, why not? And then I ended up becoming the first in my chapter, and that kind of propelled us to a whole nother limelight. So Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
I definitely want to jump in on that. And like, I'm one of 2 district officers in our like 40-year history to come from my chapter. And it's harder when you don't have somebody right there, like somebody who's done it within the past few years to reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that like maybe you haven't had that in your chapter and you're taking that step to reach out and go for it is huge.
Yeah.
It was very nerve-wracking.
I want to kind of echo that too as well. I mean, you know, today is Kappa Gamma's 25th birthday. Happy birthday, Kappa Gamma. And in our 25-year history, only one other brother has served on the district council. And so I was very much paving my own route. I didn't know what I was doing. I kind of took a leap of faith forward. But it goes to show that we on the council are very much human. We sometimes don't know what we're doing as much as you do. And that's not to say that we don't know how to get you those answers, but at the same time, you know, we are students. We know how stressful it is to be in school and also serve, you know, your chapter and serve the band program. So we've been there, we've done that. And, you know, it's a matter of understanding that despite being miles and miles away, you can give us a call. You know, we're human. We want to talk. We want to get to know you. And we want to encourage you to, you know, be our successors because it really is a life-changing experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. So, Will?
Yeah, so I kind of want to jump off of that and say we don't have all the answers, and that was, I think, a big reservation that I had for running for office. But I just want to point out, like, it is our goal to help you find those answers. So if that is anyone's reservation, like that they don't think they know enough or they won't know enough, don't let that stop you, because I was surprised how little a lot of counselors, both current and past, have known. But it's our goal to find the answers, and that we will make that happen. So.
Yeah, no. So, you know, something just to kind of jump off of that as well is with you know, having conversations with past district officers and current ones. Sometimes, you know, it may, you're like, you know, people aren't reaching out to me. People aren't asking questions. In, you know, our district officers are students, and so, you know, you shouldn't feel afraid to reach out. And like everyone said, you know, they may not have all the answers, but they have people that they can connect you to. So the number of times where people, district officers, are like, "Hey, Bong, I don't know what the question is. You know what it is." So, you know, and at least that way, you know, we're getting people into the conversation. And so many times things are brought up that we don't even see in the national level. Like, huh, that's something we should probably think about. So, you know, whatever questions you have, but in terms of your district and the national level, you know, please reach out to your district officers because they're going to get you to the right people. And then obviously you have your governors as well. Cool. All right, so let's kind of take a step back from all of this. When you're looking at, you know, considering running for district office, what steps did you take to finalize that decision? Like, yes, I'm running. Like, were there any specific steps that you took, or when did you know, like, yes, I'm running, and then you went towards the steps of applying?
For me, like prior to officially deciding if I was going to run or not, I probably read through like the constitution of what the position was supposed to be and what I would be doing and what I would be responsible for. I made sure I actually had a brother from my chapter who was the president of on the council at the time, and so like I was asking her a lot of questions about, you know, you know, what would the time commitment be like? What expectations would you have? Like my position, I was talking to the current um, vice president for programs, and I asked a lot of questions. Some of them I don't know if they even actually made sense for the position, but like I really needed to get like a feel for like what am I going to be doing, and kind of just trying to answer any little anxiety that I might have had about it. Um, and just with all of that information, I was able to like confidently and comfortably be like, yeah, I'm gonna run for this. I know what I'm getting into, and you know, like let's do this. And I was able to like put my packet together based off of all of that information, and so that's where I started.
Great, great. Thank you. Anyone else?
Sure, I'll go. So, really for me, it was once I started building the packet, like I felt like I was just too far, I was too deep in that I couldn't come back out. so, but really the one thing that actually like finalized my commitment to it was when I actually announced it to my chapter for the first time. Because on the way to my decision, I was talking to brothers individually and just kind of like venting my nervousness, my me being scared, me being afraid of rejection, and all of them was very supportive. And they was like, well, if nobody else does, we have your back. So I was like, why not take this leap of faith? And then once I announced it to my chapter, everyone was ecstatic. So I was like, oh my God, I'm doing this. So that's how that happened.
Jordan and I are on the same wavelength because that was the moment for me, was getting approval or support from my chapter. Because, I don't know how you guys do it, but I like stood up in front of my chapter and I absolutely babbled like how much this meant to me, and saying that this is something I wanted to do really badly. And then I stepped out of the room while they had a conversation, and being able to walk back in and hear that they were behind me and they were supporting me was like tearing up.
Amazing. Awesome. Very cool. So yeah, I don't know if that, what each district does, but I do hear a lot of times people talking about making sure that they get the blessings or like, their like a letter of recommendation from their chapter. And I think at least running that through your chapter so they're not like, oh, we didn't know what you were running. And then secondly, at district convention, you at least have people who can help spread the word, and help people, realize like, hey, so and so is running. You don't want to do it all by yourself. So I think those are great points. Awesome. Anybody else?
So mine was like similar to all three of y'all's, but the day that I knew I was going to run was so when we have district leadership conference at the end of the event, we have like the time to like, this is anyone intend to run, like my name is so and so, I intend to run this position. And then so I'm a very shy person. I really don't like talking to large crowds of people. And so the biggest thing for me last year was to challenge myself to step out of my comfort zone and see what I can do. So I stood up and I announced that I was intending to run for the secretary treasurer position, and then like everyone stood up and applaud. They snapped. My chapter like tackled me afterwards. It was just like I knew that people out there were out there supporting me, even they don't know who I am. It's just like an overwhelming feeling like I'm doing this. This is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability.
That's lovely. That's awesome. Anybody else? All right. So you can think on that. So my next question is, did any of you deal with or have to go through the process of like, there are two positions or maybe multiple positions where like, man, I don't know what to run for. And did you ever did you have a process where you had to decide between positions, or did you just know I'm running for this position?
I had that problem. I was originally slated for member at large at Northeast District Convention, and actually ended up losing my election and not getting added to the council until about 2 months after. And after the election, I was very, I don't know, I kind of didn't know if I was even looking into rejoining the council or running again. But I knew, again, it was, a passion of mine to give back to something that I love so much, that I kind of just submitted a packet for vice president, not really sure if I was even qualified. But what was really helpful was sitting down with the predecessors in that position saying, hey, what was your year like? And, getting reassured that, again, they're human beings, and they probably made mistakes along the way too. But knowing that also there's a strong support from the rest of the council, that no matter where you get placed in the council, it's not, it's nothing personal. It's where the district saw you best. But I always think the best thing to do is to kind of see what your skill set is looking like, see what best matches, and if nomination, or at least in the Northeast District, nominations committee slates you in a position they see you fit. And if nominations committee sees you fit for that position, they'll put you there or slate you somewhere else. But I think there's always a reminder to everyone that no matter where you're on the council, where you are in the council, to some degree, it's just a title, right? You get to make the same impact as the rest of your council does. And so that what drove me to kind of reapply. And I know it's kind of like a weird situation, but there are people who have done it before. They've made mistakes. And so whether you feel like you're qualified or not, there should be no qualms about putting an application and seeing where it goes from there.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else?
I think going off of that, another thing to remember is if you have like a specific idea that kind of goes under a different position, that doesn't mean that you can't still do that through a different position, because you're kind of elected onto council to work together on projects. So if there's like one thing that you're really set for, but it's not really the position that you want to run for, you can still bring the idea to the table as a council member.
I love it. Awesome. Anybody else?
I kind of want to jump in on Evans, what he said, because I was the other side of that coin. He was slated for member at large. I got member at large. I ran for vice president. He got vice president. So just one of the questions I was asked during my interviews before we do speeches is, would you be willing to serve on another position that you're not running for? And I remember my answer was basically, while I have not prepared my packet and my platform for another position, my goal is to serve the district, and that is ultimately what I will follow through on. So I guess disappointment might have been the right word initially when I did not get the initial position that I ran for, but realizing that I could still serve the district that was my ultimate goal was very reassuring in the end.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? So let's go ahead to the next one here. When it comes to, I know we don't have representation from all the districts in terms of district officers. I did my best. But what does your district, what do you have to do to, what does a packet consist of? What does it look like? What do you need? Could you share a little bit about what your district does?
So in the, am I the one talking? Okay. So in the Southeast, what we have is that you have your letter of intent. You need to have 2 letters of recommendation, and then 1 for your director of bands. And then you need to have your platform, and then your fraternity resume. So what you've done Kappa Psi so far, and then a budget if you plan on campaigning. I believe that's it for us, but I think there could be more. Oh, and your personal biography. That's about it.
Awesome. Thank you. What else?
In the NCD, it's your letter of intent, your goals packet, and those are either fluffy or I would like to promote blah in the district, or this is a kind of program that I would like to implement during my term. 2 letters of recommendation from your director of bands and your chapter, and your fraternal resume.
Great. What else? NED.
So in the NED, you would need your goals, your letter of intent, and two letters of recommendation, one from your DOB and one from, I believe, your chapter. And those are important to ask for early. Don't wait to the last minute, and miss out on your packet deadline because your DOB took 2 weeks to get something back to you. Would be my biggest piece of advice. You will also need your transcript, and for everyone who deals with secondary education also knows that those might take a while. So request those ASAP, and then also you'll need your resume as well in the NED packets. Also be prepared, to give a speech to the delegation, and then also do your interview with nominations committee. So don't get blindsided by those either.
Oh, Southwest District, I was talking to myself. Wow.
So in my packet, I had my letter of intent. I had a letter of recommendation from my director of bands, my sponsor, and a letter of support for my chapter. I had my goal page, fraternal resume, and I also had my platform. And I believe that was it. And then like cover page and other things, anything that you feel is important to the position. Might have missed something, but I think that's what it is.
Awesome.
Just kind of throwing another tip in there. Overall, please do not hesitate to reach out to any of your council members to check your packet over twice. I'm sure your council members will have a checklist as well. It's outlined in the Constitution. So there's a lot of places to get what you have to have in your packet, but don't be afraid to get a second opinion or a double check on them, because we hate to see people getting disqualified from office just because they missed one piece of paper.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Western District.
Okay, so the West does things a little differently. We have an online application that goes straight to NOMS committee, and in that application is what typically would be in a packet. So like your experience, your goals, basically anything that the NOMS committee asks you for your platform. And then we have what's called a one-pager, which is basically a one-page design, or it could be an essay, it can kind of be however you want to put it, and that goes straight to the district, and that's what the district sees, because we know a lot of people aren't going to take the time to read like 800 pages of your ideas, even though you're super passionate about it. People tend not to want to read that, so we condense everything into one page, use tiny font most of the time, and then you pass those out throughout the convention. And then you also need a letter of support from your sponsor / DOB and your chapter. And then, NOMS committee interviews, and we'll have like a meet and greet at WDC where you get to ask questions, or people get to ask questions to you and you get to answer them.
Awesome. Yeah, so, something that I've been hearing consistently throughout this discussion is don't hesitate to reach out to your district officers. And I always find it a good rule of thumb to reach out to at least 3 people that have had some sort of similar experience or similar position in the fraternal world, but also in the professional world, so that you have a little bit more, rather than just having one individual, you have that viewpoint from 3 different individuals, and maybe that could help you create your vision packet, your goal packet. And something else too, like as you're creating these goal sheets, these packets, it doesn't have to be a manifesto. Like so many individuals, they sit there and they want to write this like amazing thing. Like the first draft is like this life-changing document that's going to wow everybody. I mean, if you want to, by all means, but it doesn't have to be. Like your packet is going to grow as you meet more brothers, as you're asking people questions. What is it that you want to see from your council next year? What do you want us to focus on? So, your goals and your packet will slowly refine. Like I have had, I think for my packet, 15 versions, because you go through and you have people help you, the people that you're wanting to serve, you have them help you refine down, because like Ashley said, you may be a great writer, but honestly, no one's really going to read your entire packet. They're going to most likely look through it right before elections, even though they're told, they're asked to read it in advance, but most people aren't going to, right? I mean, I'm sure we've all done it on the chapter level as well. You kind of go through and you glance like, this sounds cool, this looks innovative, and we kind of go off of our gut feeling. And then secondly, a lot of times, do all of your districts do caucusing? Yeah, nodding. I'm seeing nodding. Okay. No. SED? No.
Not with elections. No, we don't caucus.
Okay. So, so that's another opportunity as well to kind of as you're going through, kind of looking at, are you appealing to just the individual brother, or are you appealing to chapters as well? Because, you have those delegates and they're voting based on, their chapter's needs and whatnot. So again, reach out to your district officers, maybe reach out to past district officers as well. Again, a rule of thumb is at least 3, get their perspective and make that a well-rounded starting point for you. And then, as you're creating your packet, create draft 1, and then go through and be open to having it refined, having it be changed, having things removed. Because while we want to change the world, we want to achieve everything, you are students, school comes first, your life comes first. You want to make sure that you are focusing on the things that you can achieve, but also leaving enough room where you can work with your other district officers, your governors, and national council to achieve bigger projects as well. Awesome. So when it comes to, what's my next question here? Blah, blah, blah. So how do you announce running for district office? What does that look like?
I think Atia mentioned it earlier, but the NCD does a very similar process in during, especially our block season, since it's coming towards like the submission of initial candidacy date, that we offer a chance to say, and if anybody would like to announce their candidacy for district office, now is your time. And people just kind of stand up and say, hi, my name is da-da-da, and I intend on running for the office of Vice President for Programs.
Awesome. Do people send emails or their packets via the listserv as well? Is that something people do for your district listservs? I'm seeing.
Last year was the first time that we had done that on a wide, like into where every candidate did. And we did it 2 weeks before district convention. So right after the nominations committee had gotten our packets.
Awesome. Anybody else want to add to that?
I mean, besides sorry.
Go ahead.
So besides the call for intent for like, oh, I'm intending to run at DLC, we also do like, after you like intend to run, you can also make a Facebook profile, like a Facebook page almost, and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so, here is what I plan to do. And you can post on social media. I know Brianna McKenzie, who is our SED president, has done very, very well on that. I did not do that because I'm not very active on social media, but I did like during convention prior to like elections, I introduced myself, something rare for me to do. I was like, hi, I'm running for this position. This is my intentions for this position. Let me know if you have any questions and so forth.
Love it.
Similar to what Jenna said, with the NED, we do precinct meetings, which are just kind of like smaller district conventions, or 1/3 of the district in the 3 precincts in the weeks leading up to convention. And during those times, we offer people a chance to announce that they're running, but this is not official at all, and it's not binding. You don't have to run if you announce this, and you can run if you didn't announce it. But it's just a way to introduce yourself. But then the official way you do it is you email your entire candidacy packet to the Secretary in the weeks leading up to NetCon or district convention.
Okay, awesome. What else?
Jumping off of that, in the NED, because nothing's official until you hand in your packet at NedCon. It's a very big deal to stand up, walk down the aisle, and hand in your paper packet. You only have then almost 24 hours to make an impact on the entire delegation, and in the NED, that's about 30 brothers. And it's a very important 24 hours. My biggest piece of advice there would be to get to know as many of the delegates you can. But it's about getting yourself out there and doing as much as you can in those 24 hours. So there's always time. There's always time.
All right, that's awesome. So this, I think we can talk all night about the specifics of it. I think the most important thing as your district council and, as you guys get closer to, some people have like a magic date of some sort. As you get closer to that, pay attention to what's going on, to the listserv, to the Facebook pages, so that you are aware, and then put it in your calendar. So give yourself reminders, and then plan it out. Like plan out. All right, I have 2 weeks to turn this in. When do I want to turn it in? When do I want to have draft one? When do I want to have someone review it? Like put those dates in your calendar, because if you're going to rely on just your mind, bless. So let's move on. So I think Evan brought up a good transition point here. So when it comes to being at district convention, obviously, like you're an attendee and you want to go to workshops, and I think some districts have cracked down, like, all right, like when it's workshop time, like you need to be in workshop, not campaigning. But when it comes to district convention as an attendee, and you want making sure that you are taking care of yourself, that you're mentally sane, like what are some things that you do or have done to promote yourself, to promote your ideas, to get to know people, to ask questions? Like what did you do at district convention?
Okay, so I had a pretty unique experience in that my chapter was hosting convention while also running. So it was a little stressful at times, just having to be in multiple places at once, but my chapter was very understanding if I needed to step out to go do something. But I think the biggest thing was I tried to focus on just making genuine connections with people that I met, and that took a lot of the stress off of like, oh, I'm running for a position, and it's more of just like, I'm getting to know people I haven't met before. And I think people appreciate that too. Like no one wants to come off as like, I'm only talking to you because I want to run. So trying to just like frame it as like, I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to meet people and get what I can out of this experience. And then if it works out in the end, it works out. So.
Awesome. Very cool. Anything else?
The absolute best way to campaign is to just be participatory and act like, or I mean, not act, but be your best self. Be supportive, be interactive, promote others, and show people who you are. And also get a good speech out there. If you have that opportunity to say what you want publicly, make sure you're doing exactly that. Don't squander that. Yes.
So just to kind of piggyback off of that, while our other panelists are thinking of their responses here, is sometimes as you're connecting with attendees at the district convention, also try not to get into the trap where you just find a corner or like a certain location, and it tends to just be like members of that one chapter. And while it's great that you got to know that entire chapter, it's like, did you really spread your message and your ideas around? So, I always try to, I think personally, one of the best practices is to kind of have a hot sheet for yourself to know like what things you want to touch on, and always try to ask a question, because candidates, I think a lot of people fall into like, let me regurgitate everything that I memorized, let me tell you about myself. And then sometimes it's like, as an attendee, you're like, wow, that's awesome, I don't remember anything. So try to ask a question. Be like, so what do you want to see? Ask people a question, and maybe have a set of questions you want to ask people, or make it consistent. Have one question you want to ask people, but just make sure that you have that that 15-second pitch, the 30-second pitch, so that you always know where you're going to end up with that conversation. Is that questions like so I've already told you about myself. What do you want to see out of the next VPP, VPM, whatever. And then like she said about the speeches, I think some districts do it, some don't. But if you have the opportunity to get up there to make a speech, even if you don't like speaking in front of people, making sure that you have down what you want to get across. A lot of people want to fit in a bunch of details, a bunch of words in 60 seconds, 3 minutes, whatever it is. I always say that try to do more with less. Try not to focus and fall in the trap of, let me tell you everything about my packet, because that's why they have the packet, even though they may not read it. And then the last thing is, if you don't have the ability to make a speech, you have technology. Make videos, make social media posts that you can share with people, and then ask, if as you're talking to people, like, hey, can you do me a favor and connect me with somebody from your chapter, or have people help you. So Yeah, anyone else want to add to that?
So my tip is like what I've been taught like since freshman year is that when you're meeting someone, like have an elevator pitch ready, like maybe like a 30-second, 60-second about who are you, what is your platform, or like one thing you want to do for the district, and then make it like memorable, like make a joke out of it so someone can remember it, or like just like make yourself someone that they can remember, especially when they're electing. I think that's the most important thing. And that's the biggest tip I can give to anyone. It's just like make sure you have like a strong elevator pitch about yourself and your campaign.
Agreed. Awesome. Anything else?
I think a big thing to do is to get out of your comfort zone and meet people who are from different chapters. I know the Northeast District is very, very diverse. We have very large chapters, very small chapters, HBCU chapters. We have chapters that are all male. We have chapters that are, both, male and female, brothers. And at the same time, you want to be in your comfort zone and talk to people who have things in common. But the reality of the situation is that people are going to talk about the candidates. The delegates are going to talk while they're in their meetings about you. And you want to hope that it's good stuff. But the only way you can reach as many delegates as possible is to reach as many focus groups as possible. And that kind of sounds a little political science type, lingo, but it is true. You gotta really put yourself out there, jump out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Awesome. Very cool. What else? Okay, so the last question here before we go into some audience question is, if you could share one piece of advice with yourself when you were running, what would that piece of advice be?
Don't be scared. No one's gonna bite. We're all friendly. We're here for one organization. Step out of your comfort zone. Don't be shy. Make friends. Don't make yourself feel like this is a chore. Like have fun doing it. Like for me, like I know Ashley and I share the same experience where I was the host chapter last year and I was also running for a position and I was all sorts of stressed. So make sure you just have fun with it. Like make it like a memorable experience so you can reflect back on it years after.
Mm-hmm. What else?
A big social thing I did for me to kind of help calm my nerves was, I wrote down on a piece of paper why I was running for this position. And I wrote it down on a few pieces of paper and I handed it to fellow brothers from my chapter. And I said, if you see me stressing out, I need you to just give me this paper. No questions asked. And so a few times throughout the day, I was, even right before my interview with the nominations committee, a brother walked up to me who he specifically walked out of the workshop he was in, handed me that piece of paper. And it was a good reminder to myself to just kind of relax and, remind myself of why I'm putting myself through all this stress. Because no sane person puts themselves through stress for no reason. We do it for a reason. And so it's just a good reminder to yourself as to why you do what you do for the brotherhood.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What else? Jordan, I think you had something?
Evan took the words right out of my mouth. It was I can't even put it in any other words. Just remember the reason that you're doing it. Pretty much saying to the reason that you became a brother, or the reason that you became an officer in your chapter. Like, just remember the reason, and it'll get you through.
Yeah. So as the things I'm hearing for our panelists, you were nervous, you were scared, right? Right. You weren't just like, yep, I'm gonna get it. Right. So for our attendees, like we're all in the same boat. I mean, like one of my best friends who was running for district president after me, I mean, he legit is like, I'm gonna run to the bathroom and throw up, and that was just his thing. Like he got so nervous. So like finding that support group that can help you in those moments, I think is a great point. And just realizing that like it's normal to feel nervous. It's normal to want to feel like, you know what, I'm over it, I'm giving up. And it's okay to have those moments where you question yourself, because I think those are the moments that really where you get to really reflect, me like, this is why I'm doing it. And especially if you really develop and you use your why as the foundation of your goal and your vision, I think it's going to help you bring yourself back to center, and like everyone has been saying, why you're running. Anyone want to add anything else before we go to public questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, you know, like, I know when I was running, and like from the moment I announced it, was like immediate, like the district doesn't know who I am. They kind of know who my chapter is. Like, I was like, this is absolutely terrifying. I would probably, I mean, the biggest thing was just I needed to be reminded that it was okay that I, like, how nervous I was, and just to like relax, and I mean, like everyone was saying, you know, like, remember, like, why, you know, we're here to serve and help everyone be the people that we are. So at the end of the day, it was worth it.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. So we'll wrap up with that, and then what questions do we have for our attendees, or from our attendees? Anybody have any questions you want to ask the panelists? Boop, boop, boop. All right. So, you know, as you're thinking for any questions, I think we tried to cover all of the questions that you submitted. But, you know, when it really comes down to is making sure that you reach out to your district officers, you reach out to people, ask them, you know, what they want to see from people, making sure that you have a strong understanding of why you're running and how your goals correlate with your why and your foundation. And then, you know, filtering it down to goals that, yes, are innovative, but also reasonable, and are achievable, and in a way that brothers can see it being achieved and what that looks like and how people can benefit from it. And then lastly, just, you know, being open and honest, like, hey, I'm nervous, I'm running, I'm putting myself out there. I don't think anyone's going to fault you for, like, that person is shaking. You know, I don't think anyone's going to fault you for that. Or if you stutter during your speech, that's fine. You know, like, people aren't going to hold that against you because you're showing your human side. And I think if anything, that really helps you and shows that, you know, you are running as a brother, as a human being, and not just somebody who, you know, not like you're what we call it, you know, a politician of some sort. So after this call, I'll be sending out a survey to all of our attendees just to get your thoughts about how we can make these chats better, improve on these chats moving forward, and, you know, how we can improve on topics that we represent for our students. So you know, be on the lookout for that. I would love to get your feedback. But before we end the call, are there any questions from the crowd, from the audience? Going once, going twice. Okay, awesome. Well, if I could get a picture of all of us, if Jack, if you want to turn on your camera, you don't have to, but awesome. Okay, let me get this set up fast. All right, big smiles. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Sweet. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I already asked the district officers, the panelists, that you know, if they're willing to share their packets, I'm going to collect packets from previous years, and then I'll send that out to the attendees as well, so that you have some real life examples to look at. You know, there are going to be so many different takes, and how, you know, there's just different philosophies on how packets should be put together, what it should look like. And, you know, and I would also ask for confirmation from your governors, from your council, you know, when it comes to the resume. Do you want you know, fraternal resume? Do you want professional resume? Do you want half and half? Like, you know, just clarify those. You know, don't be afraid to ask those questions, because I'm sure people have the same questions as well. So with that being said, again, I thank you all so much. A huge thanks to our panelists for taking the time to help out. I love having the ability to work with these individuals, and I'm looking forward to hopefully working with some of you all as well. All right, thank you all. Bye.